Elon Musk has been called out for opening the floodgates since taking ownership of Twitter. On Monday, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre issued a warning aimed at the billionaire. Let's watch.
Well, look, this is something that we're certainly keeping an eye on. And we have always been very clear, and that when it comes to social media platforms, it is their responsibility to make sure that when it comes to misinformation, when it comes to the hate that we're seeing, that they take action, that they continue to take action. Again, we're all keeping a close eye on this. We're all monitoring what's currently occurring.
Several companies have taken issue with Musk's approach when it comes to defending free speech, including Apple. According to Musk, the tech giant stopped advertising on Twitter the new Twitter CEO asked, do they hate free speech in America? What's going on? Tim Cook. The tech tycoon also said Apple threatened to remove social media giant Twitter from its App Store, which would be a huge blow. And according to a Washington Post report, Apple, Twitter's biggest advertiser, accounted for nearly $50 million in revenue in the first quarter of 2022. So a lot to unpack here. First, on the whole, Apple dispute, I think Apple taking Twitter out of the App Store would be, a pretty, full nuclear conflict kind of move for them to do that. I don't know that they're actually going to. All we have is Elon Musk kind of hinting that. I doubt that's going to happen. Them not advertising on Twitter, you can complain about that, you can be upset about that, but that's not really a free speech violation. It would, in fact, be a violation of Apple's free speech rights if they were obligated to advertise on Twitter.
The whole point of Citizens United, which conservatives and, frankly, corporatists in the Democratic Party also love, is that money is speech. Your ability to spend your money, use your money the way you want is considered to be a speech right. And Apple being able to choose not to spend its money to be Twitter's top advertiser is well within their rights. And you don't have to
Apple doesn't advertise during our show. They're not censoring us. They're just not.
And this happens again and again. I got to say, this is a pattern that's happened across a lot of these free speech conversations where people selectively try to frame things as speech issues, even when the speech interests are on exactly the opposite side of the equation, because they know that there's all of this political energy around the idea of freedom and protecting.
But that's not to say there are no threats to free speech. Now, what Karine Jean-Pierre said is, to my mind, getting close. I don't think it explicitly crosses a line, but it's getting close to what would actually be a free speech violation, which is when the government pressures these companies to make decisions like this. In the past, Jen Psaki, the former White House press secretary, was even more full-throated in the summer of last summer, the summer before, when Joe Biden said they're killing people, referring to Facebook and Twitter not taking down enough vaccine misinformation. Another White House official went on Morning Joe and was asked, if these companies don't take down misinformation, shouldn't you change their remove Section 230 to punish them? And she said, that's something we'll look into. That's getting into a kind of muzzling of these companies or guiding their decisions in threatening ways that I think does run up against the First Amendment. Yeah. That's different. Apple is not.
All we know that is actually happening right now is Elon Musk adding Tim Cook, snitch tagging Tim Cook on Twitter, and so that's going to affect policy. And this is something that he's been doing throughout, kind of doing these Twitter polls, trying to use public consensus as a way to make decisions about what's happening in this multi-billion-dollar company. And that's not reassuring folks who want there to be, the whole point of him taking over was for them to put some kind of transparent, predictable policy into place that was not politically driven, that people could set their clock to, that wasn't about being coerced by the Biden administration or being coerced by kind of more, right-wing, whatever interest online. He has not done that. He's not done that. And look, I think a lot of people were frustrated with how Twitter was being operated before, myself included. There was a lot of shadow banning. There were a lot of leftists who were caught up in these bans and raids and stuff. And to be clear, that has continued under Musk. Garland Nixon and a number of other leftists have been banned from the app for having left politics, a political commentator. And this is exactly the point. The right doesn't often take up the cause of leftists who have been subject to these draconian policies, and it does seem very politically motivated and not at all about pure free speech rights.
Yeah, look, it's not what we want is transparent rules, like you said, that are politically neutral as possible. We don't want a repeat. I think no one wants a repeat, including the previous management, of the Hunter Biden laptop debacle. Musk has said he wants to be transparent about how that happened, and he's planning to release some kind of documentation of how those decisions took place. I'm very interested in that. But yeah, the whole, when he said the thing about Alex Jones, was very much a personal reason for not bringing him back.
That being that he had lost a child, and so he wouldn't bring Alex Jones back because he would done the Sandy Hook truthing.
Which is not. These are difficult conversations because it's a private company. It doesn't have to follow the First Amendment. It can make moderation decisions that are contrary to what would be allowed in the true public square, like the sidewalk or the quad on a public university campus. We all think that something different than the previous rules, which seem very arbitrary and capricious and unfavorable to conservatives and also contrarians on the left, et cetera, didn't make any sense. But we use the free speech language because that's what's familiar to us, even when it doesn't get you all the way, because there are some cases of things that most people do want moderated to make the platform a more enjoyable experience, and one that is attractive to advertisers, which is the only way the company is going to succeed in the long run.
Advertisers, and him thinking that it wasn't about advertisers is really hubristic and narrow-minded. Look.
But I don't want to say that he has no plan and he has no idea what he's doing, because he has successfully built massive.
He wanted to get away from an advertiser model.
Companies.
He wanted to make it about people paying for it as a subscription service.
Well, maybe that is a better model. I don't know.
He found out that there weren't as many paying subscribers. That was his first complaint, right? That's how he tried to back out of the deal, saying that there weren't enough people to make his model successful. He ended up having to buy the company anyway, and now he's scaring away his advertisers anyway. And you cannot blame the left or free speech for these big corporations. The right often likes to paint people like Jeff Bezos, these corporation, like corporate heads, as like leftists because Whole Foods is like
because they're woke, they're socially progressive.
I mean, I don't know anything, frankly, about how Jeff Bezos feels about poor people or immigrants or black people or gay people. I actually don't know. He doesn't, as far as I can tell, say very much about it. But it's misleading the public
has he spoken
about what the real battle lines are.
Kendi or something, probably.
I don't know, but who has it at this point?
Well, that's what that's exactly what conservatives think.
Including conservatives will be on a a bipartisan panel. That's not to say anything about anything. But the point is, it's all distracting from the fact that it's top down. And I'm sorry, all of these billionaires are beholden to advertisers first and foremost, are beholden to the bottom line of their own personal profits, and on the side they constrain the news for their own personal benefit. And we know that this happens when we see the coverage of certain labor issues in something like the Washington Post, owned by Elon Musk. There is a reason why these people with a lot of money choose to spend it on buying information pathways that allow the public to be informed. Well,
in some cases, they're absolutely beholden to those interests in a lot of cases. In some cases, they're beholden to mainstream media criticism, when Amazon takes a book or a movie or whatever out because it's offensive, that's usually because Media Matters came after them, or Vox, or
I'll tell you what
Twitter.
They haven't taken down. Amazon hasn't taken down the movie that Kyrie Irving got in so much trouble for tweeting out.
I don't think
what they have done is raise the price on the videos, that if you want to watch it not costs you $40 American.
Were you trying to watch it?
I was going to watch it for research purposes. I still plan to. I just was wrestling with the idea of paying $40 to watch a movie that apparently contains Holocaust denialism, but anything for the job.
Put that on the next hour expense sheet.
Someone's going to have to explain that one.
We'll have more Rising right after this. Stay with us.